Hello listeners and welcome back to Biznesowo po angielsku, the podcast for learners of business English who want to improve their skills through real-world stories and meaningful topics. I'm Eva, your host and a business English teacher passionate about helping you learn English in a professional but also engaging and accessible way. How are you doing today, listeners? I hope you are really well, and I also hope this episode gives you a moment to relax, practice your listening skills, and of course, take away something valuable and inspiring. This is episode 6, and I must say I'm absolutely over the moon to be recording this new episode for you after a bit of a break. I imagine many of you are on holiday right now, maybe enjoying the sunshine by the pool or hiking somewhere in the mountains. Wherever you are, I hope you will find a moment to tune in. Some of you wrote to me saying you were waiting for a new episode, and that truly touched me. So here I am, back with a new story. However, before I shift to today's main topic, I'd like to touch base with you and share a quick personal update, just a little rambling to kick things off, if you will, to explain why I've been away from the mic for a bit. Well, there has been a real sea change in my life, and I want to tell you what's been going on lately. So, dear listeners, the big news is we recently moved from Warsaw to Gdynia, and I must say we are truly happy we made that decision. Gdynia and the whole Tri-City area is such a wonderful place to live in. It's green, spacious, and much less hectic than Warsaw. And of course, the sea is right here. Almost every day after work, we head to the beach, and our dogs seem overjoyed too. Watching them run around is probably the best proof that they love it here as much as we do. Some of you asked me on Instagram why we actually chose Gdynia. So to satisfy your curiosity, let me tell you a bit about our journey before we finally made it here. Well, truth be told, at first we weren't considering the seaside at all. For a few years, we were actually looking for a peaceful spot somewhere in the mountains. But there was always something stopping us from making a final decision. And if you've ever looked for a plot of land in mountains, you probably know how tricky that can be. So at some point we thought, maybe the mountains aren't really waiting for us after all. And then all of a sudden the idea of Gdynia came into view. We saw one particular spot and felt an instant connection. Within a day or two, we made the decision. Both Robert and I started imagining what our life might look like by the sea. And now, a year later, we can say with confidence, yes, it was the right move. In hindsight, we feel proud, even though it was a hard, exhausting process. But let's be honest, life is too short to delay big decisions. When conditions are right, you have to go for it. I know it might seem risky to some people, but in my experience, taking a leap often opens up unexpected doors and new opportunities come along. And now let me share a little anecdote with you. Just before we moved, while packing, my husband found a small box buried deep in our basement. Inside were old photographs, and when I say old, I mean really old. One of them, from the early 1930s, showed my great-grandfather Władysław and his younger brother Ludwik. The story is, a couple of years before the outbreak of World War II, my great-grandfather, Władysław, who by the way was a bachelor at the time, so no wife yet, he went to the USA with his brother Ludwik to develop his professional skills and broaden his craft. He was a highly talented and hard-working carpenter, very ambitious, determined, and committed to learning. And yes, his dream was to get the best possible training, and he thought that going to the USA would give him quite valuable experience. Well, quite a bold move for those times, don't you think? But he made it. He put his foot down and spent several years in America working and gaining new experience. According to my late grandmother, he never wanted to stay there permanently. After some time, he returned to Poland with his brother, but not to their hometown in eastern Poland. Instead, they decided to spend some time in, and now guess where? Well, yes, in Gdynia. I don't know the exact year, but it must have been the mid-1930s when Gdynia was booming as a young and fast-growing city. My great-grandfather's brother Louis wanted to settle there down permanently and encouraged him to do the same. But Władek actually had different plans. He wanted to marry the woman he loved, my great-grandmother, Władysława. So he returned home while his brother stayed in Gdynia, started a family and had 5 children. That is why even today, many of my extended family members on my grandmother's side live in Gdynia and Gdańsk. So you see, finding that photo just a day before our own move to Gdynia felt like a good sign or a sort of lucky charm. Telling this story now, I feel deeply moved because many in my family believe that, in a way, life has come full circle for me. And I do find this story meaningful, especially because my grandmother Emily always spoke of her father with such love, admiration and longing. You see, in 1943, my great-grandfather was arrested by the Nazis for his involvement in the resistance. He was sent to Majdanek, where he was eventually executed. My grandmother spent her entire life trying to discover where he might have been buried, but sadly, she never found out. So now, if you don't mind, let this story be a small tribute to my great-grandfather. I'm sure my grandmother Emily would be proud and deeply touched to know that her father's memory lives on, even here in my podcast episode. But okay, dear listeners, enough of the family history. Now let's buckle down and get into today's business topic. So without further ado, make yourself comfortable and let's get started. In today's episode of my podcast, I chose to speak about an annual sports and cultural event that takes place in one of my favorite European cities, London. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a city I'd necessarily like to live in, but every time I go to London, I feel this special connection with the place. There is just something about this city that always draws me in. And now, ladies and gents, the event I have in mind and want to speak about is, of course, Wimbledon. My all-time favorite Grand Slam tournament. And this year, as our very own Iga Świątek won the most prestigious trophy in tennis, I can honestly say I love it even more. Since it's summertime, folks, this topic feels like a perfect, natural fit for the holiday season. I hope you will agree it's a good choice, and if you do, please let me know in the comments. So today, I'll walk you through some fascinating facts about Wimbledon and show you just how strongly this legendary tournament is connected to various aspects of business. Oh, by the way, let's take a moment to unpack the title of this episode. Wimbledon means business. There are actually 2 ways you can interpret it. The first, which is quite literary, highlights the fact that Wimbledon is a serious global business operation, generating hundreds of millions of pounds every year. But there is another interpretation where mean business is an idiom suggesting that someone is very serious about something. And that perfectly describes Wimbledon, doesn't it? Every blade of grass, every detail, every decision reflects world-class precision. So just to demonstrate how this idiom works, imagine a manager walking into a Monday morning meeting in a sharp suit, holding a stack of reports and saying, "All right, team, we've got a deadline to hit and a lot to cover today. All hands on deck today." And that's when people around the table whisper, "Okay, she really means business." So again, it means she is serious, focused, and ready to take action. No wasting time, no messing around. Tradition that pays off. Wimbledon for some people is yet another much-touted sporting event. For others, it is the occasion to enjoy their favorite players' competition. And then there are those who see it as the combination of British love of tradition and a bunch of utterly nonsensical rules. But regardless of the group you belong to, let me stick with a few facts about the iconic event. Wimbledon, with all certainty, is not only the oldest Grand Slam tournament, but also the most traditional one. It was established back in 1877. It's played on grass, players must be dressed in white, with no sponsor logos splashed across the court, and no night sessions. And yet, despite this, or maybe I should say because of this, Wimbledon continues to top the list of most prestigious tennis events. So why does it work? Well, probably because Wimbledon has found the sweet spot between heritage and evolution. We all know Wimbledon doesn't mess around when it comes to tradition, but at the same time, it keeps reinvesting in the whole experience, from improving the facilities to boosting fan engagement and going digital. So, while other tournaments change surfaces or branding, Wimbledon has stayed true to itself. And still, every player dreams of lifting that trophy on the grass. Polish legends on centre court. And now, dear listeners, let's zoom in on the Polish journey through Wimbledon history. The very first to break new ground was Jadwiga Jędrzejewska, who reached the final in 1937. Surprisingly enough, she didn't receive prize money. Instead, believe it or not, she was given a shopping voucher worth just £3.50. Oh well, it isn't exactly the career breakthrough we would expect today, is it? And later, guys, many decades later, in 2012, Agnieszka Radwańska carried the torch into the modern era, reaching the final and captivating audiences worldwide with her tactical finesse. And finally, Iga Świątek, who made history by winning Wimbledon in 2025, and it's already her 6th Grand Slam title at the age of 24. It comes across, doesn't it? Here, guys, I want to tell you what impresses me most about Iga. For sure, it is her extraordinary work ethic, her unwavering dedication, and that special tenacious spirit where she combines a razor-sharp focus on her goals with crazy ambition. And there is no denying she's taken the tennis world by storm. And in doing so, she has truly put Poland on the map, hasn't she? I bet you will all agree she's become a global icon on and off the court. Well, she's the GOAT. How Wimbledon turns prestige into profit. When speaking about Wimbledon, money is often part of the conversation. Last year's Wimbledon's total turnover hit over £406 million, delivering a record surplus of £54.3 million, most of which supports British tennis and the Lawn Tennis Association (LTA). And here's how the revenue breaks down. Broadcasting rights around 45%, ticket sales 19%, sponsorships just under 20%, merchandising, catering and other, the rest. A notable change from previous years is in sponsorship. In 2024, Wimbledon led the Grand Slams with $124.7 million in sponsorship revenue, thanks to its careful, premium-focused selection of partners. Even with such impressive numbers, the All England Club deliberately keeps sponsorship selective, a move designed to uphold the tournament's heritage and premium image. It's a long-term play. Maintaining brand integrity matters more than short-term revenue spikes. When it comes to partnerships, Wimbledon collaborates with such high-end brands like Rolex, Ralph Lauren, Evian, Schlesinger, and Jaguar Land Rover, but in subtle, strategic ways. Courtside branding is minimal. Their real value lies in the elevated experience they help deliver. And let's not forget the official merchandise. You may know that it goes far beyond logo caps and towels. Judging by the queues, fans are eager to take a piece of Wimbledon home with them. I have to admit, when I was at Wimbledon myself not long ago, I simply couldn't resist. I ended up buying quite a few gadgets which I now love taking with me to my tennis training sessions. So yes, Wimbledon has its own magical charm. It stays with you long after the matches are over. Game, set, salary. Now I'd like to zero in on what everyone's curious about. How much tennis players actually earn and why the sport pays off. In 2025, Wimbledon reached a record-breaking £53.5 million in total prize money. Both the men's and women's singles champions received £3 million each. That's an 11.1% increase year on year. Imagine that even players who were knocked out in the first round walked away with £66,000, which, let's be honest, is still a pretty good salary for just a few sets of tennis. So we clearly see that tennis is a very lucrative sport. Just take a look at Agnieszka Radwańska, one of Poland's greatest athletes. Throughout her career, she won 20 WTA singles titles, reached the final of Wimbledon in 2012 and triumphed at the prestigious WTA finals in 2015. At her peak, she was ranked world number 2. During her professional career, Agnieszka earned nearly $27.7 million in prize money alone. That's over 113 million zlotys. But that's not the full picture. With endorsement deals and advertising contracts, her total wealth was estimated at 103 million zlotys in 2023, placing her among the 50 richest women in Poland and one of the top 30 youngest Polish millionaires. And now, it looks like Iga Świątek is not only following in her footsteps, but she's surpassing them. After her 2025 Wimbledon win, Iga's career earnings have exceeded $40 million, placing her third in WTA history behind only Serena Williams and Venus Williams. And don't forget, she's just 24. It's worth remembering, though, that all this success comes at a price. Life on tour obviously means non-stop travel, intense pressure, and being away from home most of the year. Many players start training as children and spend their adult lives chasing points, titles, and sponsorships. So yes, tennis is indeed a profitable business, but it's also a task of resilience, discipline, and mental toughness. Something that those great players demonstrate time and time again. Wimbledon, fashion, and icons. It is no surprise that Wimbledon has also become a runway, quite literally. Over the years, winners have stepped into the spotlight in outfits designed by some of the world's most prestigious fashion houses. This year, for instance, Iga Świątek made headlines not only for her performance on the court, but also for her stunning post-victory look. A costume gown by Victoria Beckham and a tailored outfit by Stella McCartney. But here is one thing. Not just any designer gets to work with Wimbledon champions. In fact, Wimbledon is highly selective when it comes to fashion partnerships. Just like with sponsors, the All England Club prioritizes legacy, heritage, and brand alignment over mass exposure. Designers invited to dress players for official events are typically those who represent elegance, craftsmanship, and international prestige, values that reflect Wimbledon's own brand identity. This approach elevates the event beyond sport, transforming the winners into style icons and the tournament into a global branding platform. Giving back, the business of charity. It is important to mention that Wimbledon's impact doesn't end on profit. The tournament also supports a wide range of charitable initiatives through the Wimbledon Foundation, which is a powerful example of how sport, community, and business can combine forces. From local education projects to community outreach and even health and social support programs, the All England Club reinvests a significant part of its success into the people and areas that surround it. It is also crucial to point out that it's a thoughtful, long-term business strategy. By giving back, Wimbledon strengthens its emotional connection with fans, builds loyalty, and positions itself as a brand that stands for something more than just elite sport. So again, it's not merely about ticking a box. I'd say it's very much about creating a lasting legacy that reinforces trust and prestige. Wimbledon uses its global platform to inspire and include, and also to redefine what success means in the world of business and sport. And that, my dear listeners, is what we mean when we say Wimbledon means business. Alright, listeners, after all that storytelling and insight, I really hope it was worthwhile and interesting for you. Now it's time for the next part of the episode. As always, I want to take a moment to walk you through a few interesting phrases I used today in my talk, so you can walk away not just inspired, but a little more fluent too. So please stay with me for just a few more minutes. Ready? Let's go then! One, sea change. A sea change is a very big change, like a total transformation in how things are done or viewed. Saying this, we are actually talking about serious next-level changes. And guess what? This phrase actually comes from Shakespeare. Yes, indeed. He used it in The Tempest, and honestly, it still holds up. It's kind of amazing how a phrase from the early 17th century still feels so natural in today's general and business English. I mean, you've got to admit it. That guy was basically the original influencer. Take a look at this example and ask yourself how it actually sounds to you. There's been a sea change in the company culture since we switched to a more flexible, trust-based management style. Now employees feel more empowered and engaged than ever. Or another one. The rise of remote work has brought a sea change in how companies think about productivity and office space. I mean, for me, this idiom is just perfect. I hope you will love it as much as I do. 2. In hindsight. In hindsight means looking back at a past situation and understanding it better now. We often use it to reflect on decisions or mistakes after some time has passed. So take this example. In hindsight, launching that product during the holiday season wasn't the best idea. We should have waited until January. Or this one. In hindsight, involving the specialist earlier would have saved us weeks of corrections and adjustments. So again, in hindsight means looking back at a situation with the knowledge you have now, often realizing what could have been done differently or better. Instead of in hindsight, you can also say looking back, or from today's perspective, or from the perspective of time. 3. Find a sweet spot. To find a sweet spot means to discover the perfect balance or the most effective combination of things, like price versus quality or speed versus accuracy. Example? After months of testing, we finally found the sweet spot between functionality and simplicity in our app design. Or another one if you like. She has found her sweet spot, working 4 days a week and still hitting all her targets. 4. Take something by storm. Well, this is a brilliant idiom that is used especially when someone or something surprises everyone with their spectacular success. It means to become extremely successful or popular very quickly, just like Iga Świątek in tennis. Please consider this business example. The new marketing campaign took social media by storm. Engagement rates tripled in just 1 week. Honestly, I love this phrase because it instantly paints a picture of something making a huge splash, grabbing attention, and spreading like wildfire. It's energetic and really powerful, isn't it? 5. Put something on the map. This idiom is also a very interesting one. Put something on the map means to make a place, brand, or product known to the world. Basically, to give it real visibility or credibility. You know that moment when something goes from, "Excuse me, who?" to, "Wow!" That's exactly what we mean here. It's often used when one big event, success, or a person brings major attention to something that wasn't really noticed before. So let's see how it works in the sentence again. Winning the design award put her studio on the global map. Now she's booked for months. Or this one. Solar energy investments in Poland are putting the country on the map as a renewable energy leader in Eastern Europe. 6. Zero in on. This verb means to focus closely and precisely on one thing, like a problem, opportunity, or detail that really matters. It is super useful when you want to sound focused and proactive in meetings or strategy calls. Look at the following examples. Before we get too excited about launching new features, let's zero in on what's actually causing our customers to leave. Or, we need to zero in on the key issue in this negotiation to be able to move forward with a clear strategy and avoid wasting time on secondary concerns. Alright, my dear listeners, I really hope you enjoyed this Wimbledon special. If you're a tennis fan like me, I trust this episode brought a smile to your face and maybe even gave you a new perspective on how deeply tennis relates to the world of business. I'd absolutely love to hear from you, whether you've been to Wimbledon, followed Iga Świątek's incredible journey, or just enjoyed the business insights I shared. Please drop me a message or a comment. I'm always thrilled to connect with you. So, the ball is in your court now. And of course, if you liked this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with friends, colleagues, or anyone who'd enjoy learning business English through real-world stories. Also, remember to check out my Instagram at biznesowo po angielsku, where I unpack all the key vocabulary from each episode, give you quick explanations, mini quizzes, and a bit of behind-the-scenes insights and some glimpses into my everyday life too. Thanks again for staying with me till the end. I truly appreciate every single one of you tuning in. For now, take care, enjoy this summer season, make the most of every sunny day, and maybe even hit the court yourself sometime soon. I'm already looking forward to catching up with you again on the next podcast. Until next time, goodbye.